Hi friends, it's Heather Miller here. I'm the Mirror Image Stitcher here on YouTube and also on Instagram. Welcome to everyone that is stopping by to watch me today. Normally this channel is about cross stitch, but I also do quilting. And my last video was the first part of my quilting video, but because I was trying to cover about a year's worth of projects or things I wanted to do, I decided that the video was getting pretty long, so I wanted to split it in half and then do the rest of the video in another segment. The other reason it prompted me is part of the filming, the videoing, the footage didn't work properly, so I had to refilm some of it anyway. So today is August 13th, it's Wednesday. I'm coming to you from Southern Alberta, Canada. And yeah, let's get started. We have like a garage, an attached garage that we turned into an office. We renovated it, turned it into office. And that window in there never had any window treatment on it. And I literally had black garbage bags up there for several years. Then I came across a channel, Elizabeth from Ebida Studio. She's a Canadian out east, and she specializes in embroidery, specifically patchwork, specifically pajagi, which is a Korean technique. So this is something that I had made for that window. And the pajagi is it's a specific way of sewing these different pieces of fabric together. Also, I did use batiks in this because batiks are reversible. And it kind of looks like stained glass when you have it up in a window as the sun shines through. It kind of looks like stained glass. Now, Elizabeth actually this summer did a little mini sort of summer quilt along type of thing where she walks you through the whole process of doing pajagi. And it was like I think about a 6 or 7 part series. And I really highly recommend. I'm sure by this time I've already put her name and YouTube channel down below. But please check her out because she really goes step by step, shows you exactly how to make it. And I am going to turn this now. We got window treatment, so I'm going to turn this into a covering for the glass in my patio door. So that's what I'm going to do with this piece. I'm going to kind of change it up a bit. And these are some of the fabrics that I'm going to use. I'm just going to mix and match. I'm literally going to cut off the tops and bottoms where I made like a little sleeve for a rod, and I'm going to just restart. There's some browns, greens. I love like these polka dot ones. They're really pretty. So just like that kind of stuff. But I'm going to see there's a little bit of lights. This one is a really nice one too. Yeah, my mom had given me these pieces of fabric, and so it was very nice of her to let me raid her stash and use some of this, and so I'm looking forward to getting this worked on here. Now the next project, it was a free pattern. So I've mentioned this gal before, Jessica Dayan. She's one of my favorite quilting YouTube videos to watch. And she had kind of paired up with Bernina a couple of years ago. And they were putting out a table runner, a free table runner pattern. And the first one came out, And this is what it looked like. And I just like, yep, I'm making it. And I followed along. I followed the whole thing. And this is what I made. Then she said there were going to be more seasonal ones. The cat stays the same in the middle, but the rest of it changes. So I had made another one. I'm going to show you in a minute. And then it's sort of her contract or whatever ended, and she didn't. I waited in the spring, like I waited February, March, April, and then finally I made a comment on one of her YouTube videos, like, are you ever going to come out with any more? Because I thought they were so cute. And basically she said that, yeah, she has all kinds of ideas for patterns, but because they didn't renew her commitment to each other type of thing, that she didn't know whether she was just going to publish the patterns herself or what she was going to do. So unfortunately, there isn't any more. However, I'm wondering at some point if I might not be able to do something myself. So this spring in May, I had a friend at my quilting club. We were talking, I've always been interested in a baby lock Sashiko machine. And I've looked at them over the last few years and they're pricey. And, but in May, I kind of had a renewed sort of interest in them. I really like the hand quilted look that they give. And a lady in my guild said, oh, I have one. Would you like to try it? And I'm like, yes, please. So here in the summer, finally got around to a date that I could come over, and I took this project and she let me actually quilt on it. So I'm just going to bring it up closer if I can here to some of the quilting that I did on some of the and I was super happy with it. Really, really happy with it. This is sort of what the back looks like. It's normal on the back. Like you just get a straight running, like a regular sewing line on the back. Then she said that she was interested in selling it. She had made quite a few quilts with it, and she was kind of done with that sort of season of her life, and she just wanted to move on. And so I talked to my husband. We had agreed on a price, and I was able to purchase it from her. So I was super excited about that. I finished this. Then the second project I did with that is I made a happy birthday banner for my grandson. It was his first birthday. I may try to put in a couple pictures to see the banner. And I've also got a bit of video I'll probably put in somewhere in here that shows explaining about it. Now, this is the second pattern that she had come out with the black cat. And I'll show it to you now. And it was really cute. The one thing was, I want to point out here that as I tried to square them, obviously my 1/4 inch seam wasn't perfect. And some of them I had to make them a little bit shorter or something. I had to square off the block to make it all fit. And in the end, these two blocks are exactly the same height. And so I haven't decided if I want to pull out those two blocks. Well, pull out this block. I'd have to pull out part of this because I don't know that I want a seam. I would want, I don't know, the ribbon to go differently. But I'm wondering if I should make this one big present. So that's been the holdup for this particular one. If you can see, it would have been nice if that had been one big present. So that I've pulled out these fabrics and I'll make a decision about that. Okay. Yeah, I think that's everything. So I'm going to let you watch some of the rest of the videos. So the second project that I have completed is what I'm going to show you now. The beginning of August will be my grandson's first birthday party. And so I kind of was trying to think, like, what could I do that would be something that could be a tradition, or something that would, you know, he could bring out for each and every birthday over the years and so on. And so I decided to make a happy birthday bunting. I will list the name of the lady I got the pattern from. And if you watch one of my other floss tubes, I had done a sashiko pillow where I had done sashiko on the front. It was a Christmas pillow, and then I made the pillow with a zipper. And this is the same lady that I got. That was a free tutorial on her YouTube. And so I had gone back to her website and I was able to buy this. And so I made it. And so this is what the top part looks like. And I used the sashiko to go around each one of the little flags, I guess, what you'd say, and then at the top to secure it onto the bias binding. This was appliqued on, and I just used my regular machine to just stitch around the raw edge applique. And so I've made that. And then this is the birthday part. Straight out here. All right, and this is the birthday. And again, I just did use the machine to go to do like that sort of hand stitching around. I will say that the pumpkin table runner, I used a different brand of variegated floss, and it thread, and it is they really want you to use a long staple. It says from Baby Lock to use like a long staple cotton. A lot of videos out there will tell you that you can use metallics and there's different kind of stuff. I don't know. I think I would give that a try. But I will say this, in that this was an Aurifil thread, and this machine like loved this thread. Just a 50 weight thread. And if you know anything about machine, you end up with like it doubles the thread on each stitch. But I will say this, I did have a bit of troubles with the other type of thread, but this one, the machine absolutely loved this Aurifil thread. So I definitely would use this again. This is a baby quilt that I was making for someone, a doctor that I worked with. And as I was going along and I'd gotten it to a certain stage, I'm like, this is not the quilt for her. This is not. I ended up making her a totally different quilt. And so I have this one. I think it's just going to be something that I'm just going to have in our house. I can curl up with my grandson if we're reading books or something like that. Because I do love Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin, that kind of thing. The main thing about this quilt is that I wanted to try these 3D pinwheels. I followed a Missouri Star Quilt Company tutorial on how to make those. And that was kind of the beginning idea for this quilt. But then I wanted to jazz it up a little bit. For other children's quilts, I have bought the Chenille It Blooming Bias. And it is something that you buy on a roll, and use a technique to sew it down. It's not hard, straight lines, sew it down, very forgiving. You just stitch a very small stitch, like just like paper piecing, you turn it down to like 1.5, your stitch length, but you sew it down and it'll help quilt it. And then this, when you wash it, this really chenilles up and gets all fluffy and fuzzy. I went online and I found I just found an image of the word honey and some type of honey pot. And so I just kind of freehanded it to kind of make it look like that. Now this is, again, it's been forever to get done. I want to show you on I think this is going to be the backing for it. It is a fireside, and it's 60 inches wide. So it's not an overly wide quilt. Good for like a toddler size quilt, but that's what I'm going to use on the back. So I have to layer the 3 layers. And actually, I don't even know that I'm going to put batting in this one. I've made a number of these baby quilts like this where I use fireside or some type of minky on the back. And then I don't even put a batting layer in the middle. So it's a matter of doing that. Now, believe it or not, so this needs some tweaking. This is not exactly how it's going to be. And also I had decided when watching some of their videos, the Chenille It Blooming Bias tape videos, that you can like layer it. So like you can put 2 or 3 layers of the Chenille It tape down, and then it really makes it fluffy. So that's definitely one thing I want to do. And then, so I need to sandwich it and then sort of pin baste it, and then sew this down, and then of course do some straight stitching to quilt the rest of it. But I had actually had these in place with straight pins, and no word of a lie, every time I just kind of had it super gently folded up, and every time I would move this project, I'd get pricked and bleed from those darn straight pins I had holding this down, because I didn't really want to mess with it. Like I'd come out with a nice little word and I didn't want to lose that. And so every time I moved this project, I was like, oh my goodness, I get poked every time I move this project. And so today, in getting prepared for this, I'm like, I gotta like get those out of there and put safety pins. And so unbelievably, it took me, I think, like 12 minutes to take out the straight pins and put down safety pins to hold this in place. And I've only been poking myself for probably 4 years, when I could have easily just changed that. But again, it's that you think it's going to be hard, or like you don't want to take it out because you're not sure, you don't have a plan, and the plan requires creativity. And when you're working full-time, 12 hours, you're working nights, you work in a very high acuity area like labor and delivery, and you know, like you're dealing with life and death at work all the time. Sometimes this kind of stuff is just hard to pull it up and get it out. And yeah, so now that I'm not working in such a high stress area of nursing, and I'm only working part-time, and I don't work nights anymore, and I feel like it's like literally been just over 2 years, and I'm coming out of the fog of that, and I'm able to, you know, not be overwhelmed by everyday life and, you know, cooking, going to the grocery store, those kind of things. And I have some energy for some creativity at the end of it. So yeah, so this is where I am with this project. And now I feel like I don't have the straight pins anymore. I'm not afraid of this project anymore. Another quick and easy project that I've made a few of that I would like to make some more of is these little Kleenex packages. So you just make this part, and then you can put your little travel packages of Kleenex in. And they're super cute, super easy. There's lots of free online tutorials for that. But they come out really nice, and it's a nice little addition to Like if you're making up a Canada Swaps #3 package to send to somebody, this was something I included in previous ones and I would like to include in the next one. Just need to pick out a fabric that maybe goes with the project that I'm stitching for this person. So that was a couple of things. The other couple things is I've made some of these microwave bowls. So they are made with 100% batting, fabric, and cotton, because you're putting them, cotton fabric because you're putting thread, and fabric because you're putting them in the microwave. So everything has to be cotton to go in the microwave. And so you would set your bowl inside, put it in the microwave, heat up whatever it is you're eating. And then when you take it out, you have someplace not hot to take it out of the microwave. So I have a couple of these size and a couple, these are like for bigger type things, or I've even just used these for like a casserole that I took out of the oven and I'm setting it on the table. I might put it in this just to have some place to protect it, someone, you know, to hold on to scoop food out of. Now I've used the Creative Grids ruler to make these. There's a million free patterns out online that you can do these. You don't need a ruler for them. The ruler was just something that cut out the fabric and the backing, the fabric and the batting a little bit quicker, but you can do that yourself. It's not hard, but it did give me rounded corners, and I have had other microwave bowls that gave me, they were an actual square and they come to a point instead of a round, like round right there. And I would say, in my opinion, that the round ones are a little better because if you look at this one, now, when it's stretched out, it doesn't do it, but it gives you the idea of what it can do if these were a real point, is that they curl in, and I would find that those points would like touch my soup or something like that. So I do like the ones that are more rounded, because then they don't do this. And this stretches out a bit more when you actually have a casserole dish in it, that they don't do that. So in my recommendation, I loved making these. And I did like, I don't know if you can see, but like I did a line of stitching to hold the 3 layers together. I found that because I had one that was given to me and the 3 layers weren't quilted on the inside, and it did shift and stuff. And I always had to kind of fiddle with it to use it. So I did like that. And yeah, I do like the rounded corners a little bit better for those reasons. Okay. Oh yeah, now the pattern or the quilt behind me. So I had this part right here in the middle was a panel. It's by Zen Chick, and it was a panel that I had that was really long. I can't even remember if it was like 5 meters, or I don't have no idea, but I had it. So basically I cut it in half. And it was my long arm quilter was having a sale. And I thought, ooh, what could I do that if I just slapped a couple of borders on, I could have a quilt done? Because I had bought this off the bolt. So it's like, you know, it's like 42, 44, whatever the width of the fabric is, right off the bolt. And so I literally cut the panel in half. And then I put this border around it. I had some of that in the, so I made 2 of them. I made 2 quilts. This is one I kept, one I gave to a friend. This border in the other quilt is more like this turquoise color, but I didn't have enough. So I used orange in this quilt, and I gave her the one that has the turquoise border. And then this is an art gallery fabric that I had bought. I had gotten a deal where you get X amount of 3 meters for like $45 or something like that, like for like a backing size or something. So I used that on both the quilts because it has a bit of that turquoise in it, which sort of matches this about a bit. But at the time I had bought this and I had bought this fireside backing. So I'm like, okay, I have basically everything I need to make 2 twin size quilts. And so I was able to get them done, really like them. And that fireside is super soft. I call it like adult minky in a way. That minky can be a little bit hot for myself, maybe other menopausal type women. But my husband sure likes this, this minky or any of that, the fireside, that kind of soft backing. And even in our, I think I've said this in the first quilt too, but like when I'm making that 5 and dime quilt, I'm like seriously thinking of making his half in like a fireside backing and my half in like 100% cotton. So we'll see what happens, but I am actually seriously considering that. So anyway, this is this quilt. Okay, I have one more to show you. So thanks for sticking with me if you're this far, because I've saved the best for last. This is my final quilt that I would like to show you that I am working on right at the moment. This quilt was actually started in 2018. I had gone to a talk at my local quilt store, and the gentleman was giving a presentation on batik fabrics and all about batik fabrics. So I came home with that night, I came home with a jelly roll of these 2.5 inch strips and a pattern on how to make this inside part. So basically, pardon me, this was the initial from that here and how you make it with this ending. That was the initial quilt. I can't even get it all in. It's a king size quilt. So from here to the end of the strips. But as over a few years, she had a layer cake that matched this set, and then she had some, a couple of charm packs, 5 inch charm packs. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew that I wanted to start with this. So I started with this. Well, in 3 years, I think I had made only like 10 of these. I put them in groups of 10. Yeah, so there's 40. Sorry, not 42. There's 40 strips. So I put them in groups of 10, and I'd only made 1 set of 10. And so then in the spring, March, I think it was, I implemented, I'm going to go down and I'm going to like cut so that I have 10 more strips where I have the strip with its corresponding white and the other half of its strip there. So then I had 1 strip and I'd hang them on my design wall. And then I'd have 10 strips made. And then I would put those 2 together and those 2, but only one day. Like those 2 together, that's it. Those 2 together, that's it. And so on. While I'm doing this and in making the Winnie the Pooh quilt, I thought, oh, I know what I can do. I can implement those 3D pinwheels and I can make an edging, like a border. So that's what I've done, is all of these are a 3D pinwheel. So I've made that. And then with extra, I made like a 4-patch border that goes on the side of this quilt. I put a white border to finish it off. I put a white border across the top. And then out of the layer cake, I know it's hard to see, but a layer cake, I did 10 squares across and 12 across the bottom. They're not completely 10 inch, because of course with, I had to cut them down for it all to fit. But to do the math to make it fit. Because when this is a 2.5-inch square or 2.5-inch strip, but then once you sew it in, it becomes only a 2-inch strip, and then these had to be cut differently and so on to kind of make all the math fit. Okay, so now I have the top, and my dream for this quilt was always to hand quilt this quilt. And then again, my long arm quilter had actually put it up on Facebook that she had a set of threads. She had a set of threads that were 12 weight threads for sale. And I mean, she was practically giving them away. They come in a case with like spools on either side. So I want to say there's like 60 spools, and I paid a pittance for them, like $30 or something like that. It was unbelievable because each one is probably $13. Like, I'm pretty sure, like anywhere between $9 to $13. I'm guessing somewhere in there. And so I picked out the jewel tone colors of that, and I have been hand quilting this. So I'm using like a big stitch. I don't know if I can get this close enough. I'm going to try, but that's sort of what it looks like. And so I just went down the middle. I've used a Hera marker to mark my line going across. And now so I went down the middle of every strip, and now I'm doing lines every 5 inches across the quilt, so going vertically. So I have done this side. I've got this half of the quilt, and now I need to work on this half of the quilt every 5 inches. It did take a lot of thinking about this quilt because I am fairly frugal with fabric, and this is such a big mistake that I have made in that I buy the fabric and then I try to make the fabric fit a pattern when and without as very little waste as possible. And so it does make it difficult. Whereas honestly, it would be way easier to find a pattern than buy the fabric that fits that pattern, because then you're buying specifically the shapes of fabric that you need, whether it's a fat quarter pattern, a strip pattern, etc., or yardage, right? So that's what, again, it took so long in a way to do that, because I wasn't sure and I was trying to figure something out to use the pattern, use up the most fabric with very little waste. The other thing is, as I'm quilting, like I took a certain amount of thread off the spool, and sometimes I had a fairly decent size piece at the end, and I have saved those pieces. And what I'm going to do for sure is I'm going to use those pieces to tie these pinwheels down. So I'm definitely going to use them to tie them down. And then I'm probably, I don't know if I'm going to do like a zigzag like type of line to quilt the rest of it down. But I'm definitely going to use those little end pieces of my thread to quilt that part. And then, of course, now after that, I'll have to come up with some way of quilting each of these. Whether I do lines across, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Off of Amazon, I have bought some Sashiko templates. And there's, I think, like 50 of them. And I may consider, because they actually would fit right inside there. And I'm not sure if it's going to work. And I haven't decided if I want to put that much investment in. I'm not in a hurry to finish it. I probably will only stitch one of these quilts like this ever in my life. And so that's why I'm considering doing that. Also, I have some little plastic Mylar templates. I didn't bring them up to show that because I have to come up with some way to quilt this strip of 4 patches, and then of course this white strip down the side. So I do have some ideas, and so like I said, I'm not in a hurry to do it, and it may be something that I might decide, yes, I want to do it. It'd be a little bit more, because it'd be like a stitch that sort of goes like that, whereas this was really easy because you just, you know, stitch all the way across, whereas the other ones, it might be a matter of turning a whole king size quilt, and I'm not sure I want to do that. I don't mind doing the hand stitching, but I'm just not sure how I would accomplish that, because you'd be going around, and it's not like I can stitch this way, I'm left-handed, and then turn around and pick it up and do that. I'm not really sure I could accomplish that. So I'm not really sure in my head. Anyway, I want to say that again, this was another pattern where I started putting them together. I hadn't done hardly anything in 3 years, and then I've written down some actual stats, and when I finish it, I'll probably bring them up. But yeah, I had only 10 strips made, and then the other 30 got done inside of like 6 weeks or something like that. So it was definitely something. And then I was on like a Zoom meeting for like an hour and a half, and I had sewed the pinwheels, and then I put them, you know, in something else I put them. And then one time in a Zoom meeting, I sat there and I trimmed them all. Like, I want to say there's 20 of them. So like, I really do feel like if you're overwhelmed with a particular quilt, if you can pare it down into bite-sized pieces where you go down, and maybe you feel like, you know, how do you get things going for 20 minutes? But if you have a dedicated space and you just slip something around it, it can be just as easy as flipping off the sheet, turning the machine on, setting yourself down, make 3 of these pinwheels and shut it off and go back upstairs, you know, and then go on with life. And you'd be amazed at how much you can get done with that strategy. So if you get overwhelmed by something, I said, you know, I encourage you to maybe try to figure out how you can chop it down into steps that you can do that or make it a bit more manageable. Hi, Heather back again. I hope that has gone smoothly. I hope that I've been able to sort of edit them all together in a somewhat decent format to finish off this part 2 of my quilting video from last year. And I want to thank everybody for taking the time to stop by and watch. And I am looking forward to making my next floss tube video. I've got quite a bit of stitching to show you, and, you know, talk about some plans and how I have kind of reined in some of my whips so that I can focus on a few things to try to get some things done. So I look forward to getting up another video. We've had a lot of archery this year, and almost every weekend that I'm not working, we've been doing archery. So that kind of has interfered with some of the video filming. But I want to get back to that as soon as I can. So take care and enjoy your stitching. Enjoy the rest of the summer. See you, love you, bye.